So, Fashion Week is starting this week and it's beginning with New York Fashion Week. And it's also a great opportunity to think about the impact clothes have on our environment. So today I'm inviting a very special guest, and her name is Dena Silver from Oceanic Global, and she's joining me to chat about microplastics in fashion. So Dena is the fashion director of PureWow, and she works closely with the non-profit to care about our ocean. So I will see if she is here, and I will invite her to join me. Let me see. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. So nice to see you.
Me too. Thank you for the beautiful introduction.
Yes, I saw it. Yes.
Well, I'm here kind of representing Oceanic Global. As Sharon said, I am the fashion director at PureWow, but I've been working with Oceanic for about a year or so. I help them with all their writing, and I work with their New York hub. But a little bit about Oceanic, in case anyone doesn't know. We are an ocean nonprofit that cares deeply for the ocean, and we provide solutions to protect it. We kind of shed some light on humanity's essential relationships to the ocean, and we empower individuals, communities, and industries to create positive change for our collective well-being. And I have to say, since joining Oceanic, I've definitely changed a lot of my own personal habits, definitely including the way that I shop and think about clothing. So
yeah, me too. Yeah, it's crazy because I didn't know that actually microplastics in fashion are actually forming a big thing now. It's becoming bigger and bigger with all the plastic and also recycled fashion, and because microplastics are actually nylon, spandex, and polyester, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So just a little overview in case anyone doesn't know. Microplastics are kind of part of your clothing. As they age, they break down a little bit, and they're these little minuscule pieces that can kind of break off of your clothing. And all of the fabrics that you just mentioned, they are kind of the biggest polluters in that area, and these little pieces of fabric kind of end up in our waterways. And it might seem like it's not a big problem because they're so little, but over time, of course, if everyone's clothing are shedding these tiny little plastics, it obviously creates a huge issue. I'm wondering, do you remember the first time that you ever heard about microplastics, or when you were kind of introduced to the concept?
Yeah, it's actually not that long ago. I think maybe last year when I was starting, because I'm also an ambassador for the ocean cleanup, and they also taught me about microplastics. First it was about the garbage patch and things like that, and then also the pieces are breaking off into the sea, and it's everywhere. It's in our air. It's in our food already. in our food system, and it's everywhere. It's crazy. It's also so dangerous because they are very small, and they have a lot of toxic in them, which it's very dangerous also for us and for everything actually. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I just saw someone commented that we consume 5 grams of plastic per week, and I think a really easy way to visualize it is we eat the size of a credit card each.
Yes.
Which, that's gross.
I didn't
do not want to eat a credit
it's
card.
It's crazy. No.
And,
it's
right, exactly. And you think about the way that it gets in your system. It's either through the water, or it's through eating fish or
products.
Other things. And it's definitely a huge issue in the U.S. because 94% of the drinking water here has microplastics in it. It's a slightly better elsewhere in the world. It's about 83% of the drinking water globally, but
crazy.
It's not good. It's definitely an issue, and I think that working in the fashion industry, I don't know, maybe there's a little bit of guilt that we feel, or we feel a little bit responsible for kind of educating people and kind of making some changes.
Yes. Yeah, it's crazy. Also, with if you wash clothes, Oceanic Global taught me that with every washing clothes, 500,000 tons of microfiber are losing into the system and going eventually into the ocean, right? Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is, and it's I think it's it's one of those things that's a little bit hard because it's not like the straws where you can see the direct impact, because you can see, you know, a turtle who has some like plastic straw in his body or something like that. It's not visible, so it kind of feels like it's one of those like out of sight, out of mind things. But I mean, it is an issue. So what are some things that you kind of do to minimize?
Yeah, so actually I looked up a solution to actually prevent. There's more solutions, also the water filters, of course, which you can place into your washing machine, but also it's an easy solution to have short washes and cold and short washes to reduce as much as microfibers into the system. I looked it up and I thought, I'm gonna do that more. And it's also good for your clothes, so it's only positive if you do that. Or washing bags. Yeah. Right.
I also read the same thing. I think it must have been on maybe Patagonia's website that they said to wash your clothes less often, which you're kind of like, okay. But they made a good point that like washing your clothes less often actually benefits you because they'll stay in good shape for longer, and you can kind of like spot clean if there's like a little bit of dirt or anything, and that's just a way to like minimize, which it seems so easy because it's like we're giving you permission to just rewear your dirty clothes, so just go ahead and do it. It's really fun.
Yeah. Good. Okay, let's see.
I also love the I think it's called a Cora ball, and it's like this ball that's super clothing friendly, and so you can just kind of throw it in your washing machine, and it catches all the like little microfibers, and it looks like crazy. I saw one, and it's really cool because they base the color based on like whatever plastic recycling they have at the time, so like you don't really get to pick, but there's ones that look like little pineapples, and I was reading the reviews and people were like, I didn't see like what was coming off, but in the brand was writing that like you actually can't really see the microfibers because they're so small, so it's like you just throw it in and you forget about it, and it does all of the work for you getting the microfibers from washing.
So good.
Yeah,
I only learned this yesterday since I was speaking with you, and I was like, wow, really? Like, I didn't know it was like in Holland. I didn't see it yet, like the filters or the balls or the washing bags. So I'm definitely gonna look into that and have one for myself, because I think it's very important to have this in house.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense, and it feels like it's an easy thing that you can kind of just like add into your life. It doesn't really add much of a burden to just like put clothing in the washer with one of the Cora bags, or you can use, as you mentioned, there's Cora balls, and then there's bags by Guppy Friend that people really like that you can put your clothes in, and it catches the microfiber. So it's like it takes 5 seconds out of your day, and it's really like not too different, which is
I can't wait to have one.
And then I think the last option that Leia, who is one of the founders of Oceanic Global, taught me is that you can actually add a filter onto your washing machine that catches all the fibers.
Amazing.
Which is, it's so smart. Wait, let me find the name. They're called Planet Care filters, and it filters 90% of the microfibers. So unless, it's a lot. And I was reading that apparently unless you're very good at plumbing, like maybe don't install it yourself, but you know, could be a fun DIY activity for this winter.
Yeah.
If you want to do that.
Nice. Because how big is this problem? Like I see this question because I think it's huge, the problem now. Right? Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's everywhere.
It does seem like it is a big issue, and I think it's like a global issue. It's not just the US. It's not just places that are close to the water. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
There is a really fun question that someone asked, and they said, "What sustainable fashion tips do you have?" So wondering if you
got some.
Yeah.
So there's also a lot of microplastics in products, like shampoos and scrubs. So for me, since I know this, I don't use scrubs anymore, and I mainly use soap bars. So there's also shampoo soap bars right now, so you don't have to use plastic bottles or anything like that. I'm still seeing what to do with toothpaste, but I already saw there's some options for that as well. So for now, it's soap bars, and yeah, that's like one of the tips I have. And yeah, and also when you have a party, what I see, like glitters, for example, are so bad. It's already kind of microplastics and balloons as well. So for me, I don't use them. Or as well, you have also sustainable balloons. I just saw sustainable balloons. Like,
yeah,
it exists.
I remember seeing a Mylar balloon floating in the ocean this summer, and I was like so upset. And I saw someone running down the beach holding it, like they had fished it out of the water, and I was like, that's amazing. But you're right, like we can totally stop this issue from the beginning by just like not using these products.
Yeah, it's for such a short period of time that you use it. So for me, I don't use it.
I love that. Yeah, my personal favorite sustainable fashion tip is to buy secondhand.
Yes.
So you're not creating any new waste out there, but you can find some amazing stuff. I'm like a big fashion nerd, so I love to kind of like find pieces that I couldn't buy originally, that I couldn't buy now, or, I think it's such a fun way to find clothing without putting more waste in the world. And something that I actually learned during this whole research process for our chat is to buy higher quality things, which like I love because it gives me an excuse to quantify that expensive purchase. But it also, the reason why is because like if a product is made from like organic cotton or like a higher quality material, it's not going to shed those microfibers. So like consider this your excuse to just like buy the expensive thing you've been thinking about, because it'll be better for the planet, and even better if it's from like a sustainable designer
or
local brand. Exactly.
Nice. I love to buy at vintage stores in Holland. We have a lot of them, so it's nice to shop there. Actually, you find quite a lot of nice stuff. So it's a very good tip. Yes.
Yeah.
Good. And also like cigarette filters, for example, because I see that a lot now here in the summer, that people, when they like in Holland, we have a lot of boats. People always driving on our boats, and how do you say that? Not driving, but and they always throw their cigarette butt into the water. I'm like, if I see that, I get so frustrated, because people, they actually, it's very harmful, and there's a plastic filter inside which will never go away.
Right.
So,
I think it's all about like making those like small changes, and I think that like the biggest impact we can have is kind of like encouraging the people around us to change their habits, because then it's kind of like a ripple effect where, you see one friend who's throwing their cigarette butt over the boat, and you say like, oh, you shouldn't do that. You educate them why, and then they kind of change their habits. That's like that you're literally having a direct impact on someone, and it's a way that they can relate to, because it's you explaining to your friend like how you can change things.
Yeah. I also see here from someone who have a reaction. She says, don't forget the COVID mask, because now it belongs with our fashion. But I see a lot that people throw them on the ground. I see them everywhere. Try to put them in a trash bin. And also another thing, the straps around the mask, they wiggle, or how do you say this? They harm animals. So if you throw them away, please cut the strings before you throw them away in a trash bin.
Right. No, it's true.
Yeah.
And if possible, I would say probably use the reusable cotton one, so you're not creating more waste.
It's also better. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And here's another question, which I love. What are some tips for mending, thrifting, clothing swaps? For me, I think it's so funny that we find this so novel, but like I had 2 pairs of shoes this weekend, and I just like scrubbed them clean. I washed the shoelaces, and they literally looked good as new. Whereas like I was kind of considering, should I get a new pair of Converse? Like they're a little old, and after that they looked brand new. And it seems so silly that that's something that, I hadn't thought of, but doing something like that where it looks a little old and you can do 1 or 2 things to kind of make it look new, that is a great way to reduce waste. In terms of thrifting, I always think it's like a word of mouth. Like if you have that one friend who always looks cool, like ask her, like, where do you go for thrift store shopping, or what are your favorite vintage stores, and kind of finding a place where you always find a gem or always find something that you like. That's always been like a really big, it's a bit of a thrill. I don't know. It's not like shopping regularly. It's like you kind of have to dig and then you find something that you love. And,
yes, I love it.
And then when you buy it, you don't take the plastic bag with you home. So
yes, I always refuse it.
Yeah, exactly. You can just continue to, further your green habits.
Yes. Yeah. That's a good tips. Yes. So also to bring your shopping bag is also belongs with the fashion now.
Right. Definitely.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say try to wash your shopping bags, like your totes, instead of just throwing them out when they get dirty, always think ahead and think of how you can kind of just keep being green in everything that you do.
Yeah, so what I also do with preventing plastic bags, of course I have my my shopping bag always with me, but here in Holland, if you go to the supermarket, everything is in plastic wrapped. So what I do, I go to local food markets and I bring my bag and I put all the fruits and vegetables in it without plastic, and then I think you already you don't use my God, my English. You don't have to use a lot of plastic
right.
fruits and things.
So,
yeah.
Right. And then you're supporting the local farmers, so that's
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I love how there's a chain effect where you do something sustainable and then you're actually doing 5 other things that are good for the world and our planet in general, which is great.
Yeah, good. Nice.
Yeah. So see, we can turn a negative and a thing that needs to be changed into a positive that could definitely have a lot of
for sure. Yeah, for sure. I have a positive feeling about it. I hope everything will be fine and
yes.
people see it as well. So perfect. Yay! You have any other questions, or anybody has here questions? Let me see. Things for mending, thrifting. Oh yeah, that's what you just... Perfect.
I see one here that says, are manufacturers doing anything to reduce the use of plastic in clothes? I am not totally sure about the use of plastic in clothes, but I know that a lot of companies are being smarter about what they're packaging their clothing in. So I think looking to support the companies that don't use poly bags, or if they do, they use poly bags that are biodegradable, is a really good way of supporting companies that are kind of sustainably minded is a good thing. And we discussed this a little bit yesterday that there's kind of a little bit of greenwashing where some brands say oh, we're using plastic, but the source of the plastic isn't recycled as they say, or something along those lines. So I would just say that do your research before supporting something like that, because the more knowledge that you have and the more truth that you have, the more power that you have with your purchasing power.
Yeah, it's crazy. I saw some things coming, some information. I don't have the source, but it said that one manufacturer downgraded right in from the plastic into the clothes. It was not even something in between. It was right into clothes, and they said it was recycled clothes. But so exactly, do your research on good, sustainable brands, and maybe you have to purchase for a bit more, but then it's good for also for nature and also for yourself, because you don't want the microfibers on you or breathe it in, or if you how do you say that? if you move your clothes, the microfibers are falling off and you also breathe them in. So
right. Yeah, and I think some of the best ways to do it is think about more natural fibers that you can wear. So if you think about leggings and stretchy clothing, the reason that they're stretchy is because there's some kind of manufactured material in them. So trying to stay away from those as much as possible. And if you do, being sure to wash them with the bags or the balls or with the filter so that you can kind of catch it and be more aware of those materials.
So just a question from me, because if you have the ball or the filter, like how do you dispose eventually the filter? Like you
right,
just
I know.
yeah, right?
So that's an interesting question. So I was actually looking into it. So the company that does the filter, Planet Care, they have like a whole system where you're supposed to replace the filter after, I think it's like 20 washes, and they have their own recycling practices. So they send you the filters in a box, and once you're done with all the filters, you send it back to them, and so then they deal with the recycling process and all of that stuff. Yeah, right. So it's like you can feel like, all right, they're handling it, and yeah, as Leia said, you ship it back.
Yes.
And with the balls and the bags, I believe that you just kind of get the fibers and you just like throw them in the trash, because the point is to keep them from getting into the waterways.
Yes.
So, I mean, while it's not great to obviously throw it into a landfill, it is a little bit better than putting it back into the waterways.
Perfect. Nice. Thank you. I will get one as soon as possible.
I know, same. I placed my orders last night. I was like, all right, gotta
amazing.
So you preach.
Yes. And I will share them for people who are watching. I will share them again in my story, and where you can also purge them. So yeah, we're all gonna have washing bags. Amazing.
Love it. Thank you so much. This was so fun.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, have a beautiful day.
Yeah, you too.
Okay. See you. Bye.